Your to-do list is a lie. Why it triggers your brain's shame cycle. Your to-do list isn't making you productive, it's training your brain to procrastinate. Every unchecked box whispers, "You're behind," and that triggers stress, avoidance, and shame. That heaviness you feel, it's not laziness, it's your nervous system hitting the brakes. In this video, I'll show you why traditional lists backfire, psychology, not pep talk, and replace them with the anti-list rule that builds focus and momentum fast. You'll learn the secret step that makes starting effortless, and the common mistake that ruins everything. By the end, you'll have a simple, strict system that breaks the shame cycle and delivers one high-value win every day. The problem: why your list feels heavy. Let's start with what you already feel. The longer the list, the heavier your chest. That's the endless list effect. A visible backlog creates invisible pressure. Your brain reads line after line as open loops, and each one quietly claims a slice of your attention. You're not just thinking about the top task, you're juggling everything at once. Now here's where most people mess up. They look at unchecked tasks and think, "I'm failing." That's perceived failure. A list is supposed to be neutral, but it rarely is. Every empty box becomes a micro-signal that you're behind schedule, even when your day was full of actual progress. And the moment your brain labels behind, it tilts you toward avoidance to get short-term relief. This clicked for me when I realized how fragmented attention steals momentum. Lists encourage rapid item switching, email, proposal, message, doc, so your working memory keeps rebooting. The cost isn't just time, it's cognitive load. Each switch forces you to rebuild context, remember where you left off, and decide again what matters. Do that 10 times, and you're mentally drained before any deep work happens. The thing most people miss is the absence of real completion. You might check 5 minor items, but the big one, the one you care about, still stares back. No sense of closure means no dopamine hit strong enough to reinforce the behavior. You finish the day busy, but not finished. That gap fuels the "I never do enough" story, which makes starting tomorrow harder. Another source of friction: miscalibrated expectations. Planning fantasy lives on lists. We write down the ideal day version of us: high energy, no interruptions, perfect clarity. Then reality shows up with meetings, surprises, and normal human limits. When your plan ignores time, energy, and friction, of course you fall short. And every miss feeds the narrative that discipline is the problem, when calibration is. Let me show you exactly how small details add up. You write report. That's not a task, it's a project with ambiguous edges. Your brain sees uncertainty and delays the start to avoid the discomfort of not knowing where to begin. So you pick off easy items for relief. They feel good for a minute, but they don't reduce the weight. By afternoon, you're depleted, and the real work remains untouched. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches: reduce ambiguity before you ask for effort. Lists usually ignore start triggers and done definitions. Without those, you're relying on willpower to fight through fog. Willpower is a terrible primary tool. It's inconsistent and burns fast. Clarity, on the other hand, cuts the activation energy so you can begin without a debate in your head. And there's a social layer to this. Many of us use lists to signal responsibility to ourselves or to others. But when everything sits there with equal weight, reply to a Slack and draft a strategy doc, it tricks your brain. Equal weight bias means trivial and critical look the same. If they look the same, you'll choose the one that feels safer. Safety beats significance in the moment, every time. Okay, so the tricky part is that your brain is doing its job. It's trying to protect you from uncertainty, from the possibility of failure, from social evaluation if something important isn't good enough yet. So the standard advice: try harder, add more, color-code it, just increases the threat. More items, more reminders, more alarms equals more pressure. More pressure equals more avoidance. You know that cycle already. A quick micro story. Last week, a student sent me a screenshot: 42 items, 7 overdue badges, 3 priorities labeled urgent. She spent 2 hours organizing and 0 minutes on the one proposal that mattered. We stripped the list, picked one keystone with a clear start, and defined done as draft intro and outline, 45 minutes. She finished it that day. The difference? Less noise, more definition. If you remember nothing else, remember this: a list without context multiplies decisions. Every decision creates friction. Friction kills follow-through. You don't need more motivation, you need fewer decisions between you and starting. Once you nail that, everything else clicks. So no, it's not laziness. It's a system that overloads working memory, blurs priorities, and erases closure. Your brain responds by delaying, not because you're weak, but because the setup is hostile to focus. That's the real problem. And that's why we're going to replace the list, not polish it. The brain's threat response to lists. Before we continue, you need to understand why your body reacts to a list like it's danger. Long lists pack 3 triggers your brain hates: uncertainty, ambiguity, and the chance of social evaluation. Uncertainty is, how long will this take? Ambiguity is, what does this even mean? Social evaluation is, if I mess this up, people will notice. Put those together, and your amygdala lights up like a smoke alarm. That alarm pushes stress hormones, your heart rate ticks up, and your system quietly shifts toward freeze or avoid. That heaviness? It's biology, not character. Now here's where most people mess up. They fight biology with willpower. The more your threat system fires, the less access you have to your prefrontal cortex, the part that plans, prioritizes, and regulates impulses. So when you stare at a list that screams too much and not clear, your rational brain gets quieter right when you need it most. You feel foggy, indecisive, and pulled toward quick relief. That's not weakness. That's a protective reflex. Let me show you exactly how this plays out. You scan your list, hit a vague item like Finish Deck, and your mind flashes all the unknowns, which slides, what data, whose feedback, how polished. Your amygdala reads those unknowns as potential threats because unknowns in the past sometimes led to criticism, rework, or embarrassment. So your brain offers an escape: check email, tidy the desk, open a new tab. Those choices reduce discomfort right now, so they get reinforced. The loop strengthens. The thing most people miss is that avoidance can keep the threat response alive. Even when you successfully dodge the uncomfortable task, your brain still treats the cue, seeing Finish Deck, as dangerous. So the next time you glance at it, the alarm fires again. That's why you can feel a wave of dread just reading a task title. And every micro-avoidance teaches your system, good call, we escaped, which cements the habit. Okay, so the tricky part is that task aversion often beats imagined payoff. You know the deck needs to be done, and you know the reward later: praise, progress, relief. But the discomfort of starting is immediate and certain. Your emotional brain discounts the future and overweights the present. That's not poor values. That's how we're wired when stress is up. So the advice to think about the outcome usually isn't enough if the start still feels threatening. Working memory takes another hit here. A long list is a pile of open loops. Your brain tries to keep tabs on them because loose ends matter. But load it with too many loops and performance drops. You lose the ability to hold the steps for the current task, and you start bouncing. Each bounce asks your brain to rebuild context, which burns energy and raises friction. More friction means more threat, and the spiral tightens. This clicked for a client when we measured their mornings. 10 minutes just to choose a starting point, then 5 minutes to reopen the right files, then 3 minutes to remember the next step. That's 18 minutes of activation pain before any real work. No wonder the coffee walk wins. The reason this works against you is simple. Your brain mistakes activation pain for danger. It treats hard to start as unsafe to start. The game changer nobody talks about is perceived control. When you have a clear start trigger, a small first move, and a defined end, your threat system relaxes. Control signals safety. In lab settings, even the sense of being able to influence an aversive outcome lowers threat responding. In practice, that means open doc, write a rough bullet list for slide 1-3, stop after 20 minutes feels safer than Finish Deck. Same project, different threat profile. Now here's where most people mess up again. They add alarms, priority tags, and color codes thinking it'll motivate them. It usually amplifies threat salience. More red badges, more urgency labels, more time pressure language. Your brain reads that as, if you fail, the cost is high, which pushes you back into freeze or frantic busy work. Frantic doesn't equal focused. It's still avoidance, just louder. If you remember nothing else, remember this: your nervous system is optimizing for safety first, productivity second. A traditional list is a wall of uncertainty and possible judgment. So your body says, not now, even when your mind says it matters. You can't bully that system with grit alone. You have to lower threat. So what lowers threat? Clarity lowers threat. Smaller scope lowers threat. Visible progress lowers threat. A single, predicted starting action lowers threat. A short time box lowers threat. And the fastest way to stack those elements is to stop presenting your brain with a backlog and start presenting it with one winnable, clearly defined target. That's exactly what the anti-list rule is built to do. Once you flip the threat signal into a competence signal, avoidance drops, focus returns, and starting finally feels doable. The shame cycle mechanism. Now let's name the loop you've felt 1,000 times. You miss a task. That miss stings, so you judge yourself. The judgment raises your stress, so you avoid the next hard thing. Avoidance creates a bigger miss. And the cycle tightens. It's not dramatic, it's quiet and mechanical. Miss right arrow self-judgment, right arrow avoidance, right arrow bigger miss. Run that daily, and your list becomes a scoreboard of not enough. Here's the subtle part most people miss. After a miss, your brain updates its predictions. It starts whispering, "I won't finish anyway." That's a negative prediction loop. Your future self gets framed as unreliable, so starting feels pointless. Why invest effort in a bet your brain expects to lose? That expectation isn't moral failure. It's learned from repeated mismatches between fantasy plans and real execution. The more you miss, the more the prediction hardens. This clicked for me when a client said, "I plan on Monday. By Wednesday, I'm hiding from my plan." That's identity damage creeping in. Instead of "I missed a plan," it mutates into "I am unreliable." Identity level labels glue behavior in place. When you believe you're the kind of person who drops balls, you'll avoid situations that might prove you wrong or right. Either way, avoidance feels safer than testing the belief. Okay, so the tricky part is the short-term relief. After self-judgment spikes, your nervous system wants out. Scrolling, cleaning, inbox zero, tweaking settings, those give immediate relief without the risk of failing the important thing. They're productive procrastination because they mimic momentum. Your brain learns, when shame rises, do this, and the relief becomes the reward. That's why the loop persists even when you intellectually know it's hurting you. Let me show you exactly how the loop compounds. Day 1, you plan 6 items, do 3, miss the keystone. Your self-talk shifts from tough day to I dropped it again. Day 2, with that prediction running, you start later, pick easier tasks, and quietly lower the bar. You still feel behind, so the self-judgment stays. Day 3, dread shows up earlier because your brain anticipates pain. You escape sooner. By Friday, you've taught your system that the list equals threat and that avoidance equals safety. The list didn't just fail, it trained the cycle. The thing most people miss is that shame pretends to be discipline. It sounds like, be harder on yourself so you won't miss again. But shame narrows attention to self-protection, not problem-solving. Under shame, you don't ask, what's the smallest step? You ask, how do I avoid feeling this? That question has one reliable answer: don't start. So the very emotion you think will push you forward quietly glues you to the chair. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches: separate behavior from identity in real time. Instead of I am unreliable, switch to the plan was miscalibrated, or I didn't define the start. That reframes the miss as a system issue, which your brain can fix instead of a character flaw, which it can only hide from. And yes, the words matter. They change what your nervous system expects next. Now you might be thinking, but I need pressure to perform. Pressure can spark action, but shame erodes capacity. Pressure with clarity and a small scope can work. Pressure without clarity drags you into rumination. The reason this matters is simple. Rumination is time you could have spent on a microaction that rebuilds trust in yourself. Trust isn't built by thinking, it's built by finishing something that counts. Micro story: a designer I coach kept missing finish homepage. The miss led to late nights of catch-up, then more misses. We flipped it to draft hero copy and wireframe first section, 30 minutes. He finished it before lunch. His debrief line was perfect. I didn't need motivation. I needed a smaller promise I could actually keep. That kept him out of the shame spiral for the rest of the week. If you remember nothing else, remember this: the shame cycle is a prediction machine. It expects failure, so it steers you toward avoidance that confirms the expectation. Your escape isn't more willpower, it's engineering small, winnable promises that produce visible proof. Proof updates predictions. Predictions drive behavior. Break the loop at the proof stage, and your identity follows. And that's the doorway to the anti-list. One high-value win that resets what you believe you can do today. The hidden lie: lists pretend to be plans. Here's the trap most people don't see. A list looks like a plan, but it behaves like a wish inventory. Writing, write report, call Sam, update CRM, workout feels organized, But none of that tells you when, how long, or what done means. Your brain sees nouns and hopes action will follow. Hope isn't a plan. A plan accounts for time, energy, and friction. A list ignores all three. Time is calendar reality. Energy is your actual capacity, cognitive and physical. At 11 a.m. versus 4 p.m., friction is everything that makes starting harder. Missing files, unclear steps, people you need input from. When those aren't specified, your brain hits ambiguity, flags it as risky, and delays. The delay isn't disobedience, it's a response to missing data. The thing most people miss is equal weight bias. On a list, reply to Slack and draft proposal look identical. Your brain chooses the one with lower uncertainty and faster payoff. That's why you clear the small stuff first and never reach the work that matters. The interface fooled you. Equal font, equal bullets, equal anxiety, so you pick easy. Easy rewards now, important pays later. Under stress, later loses. Now you might be thinking, but I prioritize. Sure, you might drag items higher or add a star. That's still not a plan. Priority markers don't reduce friction. They don't define where to begin or when to stop. They don't secure a time slot. They don't say who you need, which file to open, or what good enough looks like. They're labels on boxes with no contents. Let me show you exactly how the illusion breaks. Finish deck lives on your list. That's a project with multiple steps. Gather data, outline argument, draft slides, get feedback, revise. A plan would chunk one step, schedule it on your calendar, set a start trigger, open deck, outline 3 headlines, and define done, 3 headlines drafted. A list dumps the entire project into your mental lap and says, figure it out. That's not planning. That's outsourcing executive function to a tired future you. A real plan also has a start trigger. Lists don't. Without a trigger, time, place, cue, and first action, you're depending on a moment of motivation to align with a moment of opportunity. That alignment is rare. When it misses, you think discipline failed. Actually, the system never gave your brain a clean path to begin. Give it a trigger like 9:30, desk, headphones on, open doc, and you reduce the activation energy to almost nothing. Another lie, lists claim to show progress. Crossing off 5 trivial items does produce a little satisfaction. But if the keystone remains, the real signal your brain gets is not done, and that dominates your mood. A plan creates closure by defining a binary finish line for today's slice. Done when the intro is drafted beats work on report. Closure drives motivation. Vague efforts don't. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Separate capture from commitment. Use a capture tool to hold ideas and obligations, but don't let that backlog pose as your daily plan. Each day, pull one keystone from capture, convert it into a plan with time, trigger, scope, and done definition, and then ignore the rest. That's not denial, it's design. You're trading fantasy control for real control. Okay, so the tricky part is miscalibrated expectations. Lists invite you to write your ideal self's workload. 8 big tasks, 0 interruptions, unlimited focus. A plan forces you to pick what fits the actual day. That constraint feels smaller, but it's what unlocks follow-through. When your plan matches reality, your brain gets the win it needs to trust the next plan. Micro story. A founder I coach kept a rolling list of 60 items. Every day ended with 10 new ads, 2 checks, and a sinking feeling. We moved to planning 1 keystone with a 60-minute block and a clear done. 2 weeks later, revenue tasks were finally finishing. His line to me, I didn't need a bigger list, I needed a smaller promise and a place to keep it. If you remember nothing else, remember this. A list is inventory, a plan is a commitment. Inventory overwhelms. Commitment narrows. Narrowing removes decisions, reduces threat, and lets competence show up. Once you strip the illusion, you can design something better, the anti-list. That gives your brain one winnable target instead of a wall of wishes. And that's where we're headed next. Competence-driven motivation, the core reframe. Now that we've stripped the list illusion, here's the reframe that flips your motivation on. Motivation follows competence, not the other way around. When your brain sees itself succeed, clearly, quickly, and on something that matters, it generates energy to do more. When it sees fuzz, misses, and half-finished efforts, it pulls the plug. Why does this matter? Because most people wait to feel motivated and then attempt something big. That's backwards. The thing most people miss is that motivation is the byproduct of a recent, meaningful win. No win, no fuel. Small, visible wins compound into self-belief, and self-belief changes how hard, how long, and how courageously you act. That's competence-driven motivation. Let me show you exactly what competence signals look like. They're concrete, close, and consequential. Concrete means you can point to an output: 3 slides outlined, 1 reach-out sent, 1 draft paragraph written. Close means the feedback arrives today, not in a month. Consequential means it ties to a real goal: revenue, delivery, learning, health. Check all 3, and your brain labels the effort worth it. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Calibrate effort to reward so a short bout of focus pays off. If the action is too big or too vague, the reward sits too far away and your emotional brain won't spend the energy. If the action is tiny but meaningless, you don't feel prouder after doing it, so no fuel. You want the sweet spot: modest effort, high relevance, fast feedback. Okay, so the tricky part is picking wins that actually build identity. Vanity wins, pretty dashboards, inbox zero, color changes, don't move goals. Real wins reduce future work or create leverage. Leverage is anything that keeps paying: a template, a system, a clarified decision, a shipped asset. When today's outcome makes tomorrow easier, your brain notices. That's how the success spiral starts. Win, right arrow belief, right arrow bolder choice, right arrow bigger win. This clicked for a client who was stuck in research loops. We shifted to one daily keystone that produced a tangible asset: a draft email sequence, a reusable brief, a checklist. After 5 days, he said, "I'm less tired, and I want to start earlier." Nothing mystical changed. His brain finally expected a payoff. Expectation is motivation's best friend. Before we continue, you need to understand why competence beats hype. Hype spikes arousal. Competence lowers uncertainty. Lower uncertainty reduces threat, which gives your prefrontal cortex more runway. With more runway, you plan better, start faster, and recover quicker from hiccups. That cycle loops upward. It's the mirror image of the shame cycle you've been living. Now you might be thinking, but I need big goals to feel inspired. Keep the big goal, change the unit of proof. Big goals are destinations, daily competence is the engine. The engine needs frequent evidence that it works. That's why we'll switch from finish the project to produce one consequential slice today. Slice by slice, you accumulate outcomes, not just effort, and outcomes reshape identity. The reason this works is simple. Self-efficacy grows primarily from mastery experiences. When you finish hard but manageable things, your brain updates, "I can do this," and that belief carries into the next task. Vicarious wins and pep talks help, but mastery is the heavyweight. If you remember nothing else, remember this: proof beats pep talk. Common mistakes? First, choosing abstract wins like make progress. Your brain can't see progress without a measurable marker. Define it. Second, chasing volume over value. 10 low-impact tasks don't equal 1 high-impact keystone. Third, hiding from friction. Friction avoided today becomes drag tomorrow. Face a small dose on purpose and earn tomorrow's ease. Here's a quick practice you can try today. Pick one goal that matters this month. Name one slice that reduces future work. Write the first outreach email template. Draft the first section of the proposal. Set the automation that removes a weekly manual step. Give it a 30-60-minute container. Define done in one sentence. Set a start trigger. Then run it without negotiation. Micro story. A manager I coach kept drowning in meetings. We made the daily win: ship one decision memo before noon. 5 memos later, his team needed fewer meetings because decisions were written, shared, and searchable. He felt more in control, started earlier, and stopped doom scrolling at 10 a.m. Competence created space. Space created more competence. Once you nail this foundation, everything else clicks. You'll stop asking, "How do I force myself?" and start asking, "What small win generates the most momentum?" That's the switch from shame to success. And now that you see why competence drives motivation, you're ready for the replacement system that delivers it on schedule: the anti-list rule. The anti-list rule, overview. Here's the replacement: the anti-list rule. 1 high-value win per day, protected like a meeting with your future. No backlog staring at you. No 15 competing priorities. Just one keystone you actually finish. Commit to 1 high-value win. That's your keystone. It must be consequential. It moves a real goal, reduces future work, or creates leverage. Think asset, decision, or delivery, something tomorrow thanks you for. If you can't point to a tangible output by day's end, it's not a keystone yet. Everything else becomes optional support tasks, but only if the keystone gets done. You can pick 1 to 3 supports that help or clean up around the keystone, send a file, confirm a meeting, prep data, but they never compete for the top slot. If energy runs low, supports wait. The keystone doesn't. Predecide the start trigger, scope, and done definition. Start trigger is time, place, cue, and first action, 9:30 desk, headphones, open draft. Scope is the minimum viable slice that still creates value. Outline 3 headlines instead of finished deck. Done is binary and observable. 3 headlines drafted, not make progress. Protect the daily win at all costs. Put it on your calendar as a non-negotiable block. Treat it as a meeting with someone you respect, future you. If something tries to intrude, reschedule the intruder, not the keystone. If the day explodes, shrink the scope but keep the promise. Tiny still counts if it's consequential. Now you might be thinking, what about emergencies? Fine, reduce scope, never standards. Keep the keystone meaningful, even if it's smaller. Draft the email subject and first line beats, skip it. That microfinish preserves identity as a finisher, which keeps tomorrow's momentum intact. The reason this works is simple. You're trading a wall of uncertainty for a single winnable target with built-in clarity. One target reduces cognitive load, lowers threat, and makes starting automatic. Finishing creates a visible proof that updates your prediction loop. I finish what I plan. That belief fuels the next start. Let me show you exactly how it looks in a day. Tonight, pick tomorrow's keystone. Define the trigger, scope, and done in 1 sentence. Put a 30-90-minute block on your calendar. Prep any files you'll need. Tomorrow, when the trigger hits, you start without negotiation. You work the scope, hit done, log it, and only then consider support tasks. Common mistakes to avoid: choosing vanity keystones, picking 2 ones, or leaving the start vague. If you hear work on, rewrite it. If you feel tempted to add a second keystone, stop. You're recreating a list. Depth beats breadth. 1 real finish outperforms 5 fuzzy starts. If you remember nothing else, remember this. 1 high-value, clearly defined finish per day beats an immaculate backlog every time. We're about to choose that keystone the right way so it reliably produces leverage, not just motion. Choosing your keystone, value over volume. Before we continue, you need to understand what high value actually means. A keystone isn't the longest task or the fanciest. High value means 3 things. It directly moves a meaningful goal, it reduces future work, or it creates leverage. If it doesn't hit at least 1, it's not a keystone. 2 is great. 3 is gold. Let me show you exactly how to check that. Ask, does this create an outcome I can point to today? Will that outcome make tomorrow easier or faster? Could it unlock progress for me or others? A drafted proposal section moves a goal. A reusable checklist reduces future work. A decision memo creates leverage for the team. All 3 beat clearing random notifications. Now here's where most people mess up. They choose by volume, what fills the day, rather than by value, what changes the week. The shortcut nobody teaches is to use a simple impact, effort grid. Sketch it in your head. High impact, low to moderate effort, that's your sweet spot for the keystone. High impact, high effort, slice it down until today's slice is moderate. Low impact, any effort, that's a support task at best. Okay, so the tricky part is turning impact into something concrete. Impact means consequence. If you don't do it, does anything meaningful slip? Revenue, delivery, a promise, learning that unblocks a project? If yes, it's impactful. If not, it might just feel tidy. Equal weight bias sneaks back here, so be ruthless. Would future you thank you for finishing this today? If the answer is lukewarm, it isn't the keystone. Timeboxing reality matters next. You need to match the keystone to your actual energy and constraints. Morning brain better? Put creative or strategic keystones there. Afternoon packed with meetings? Pick a shorter, still consequential slice. This isn't lowering standards. It's fitting the promise to the day so you finish and bank the competence signal. Remember, proof beats pep talk. Let me show you a quick calibration trick. Eat energy access time. Energy, what kind do you have? Deep focus, social, or admin? Access, do you have the files, people, or info needed? Time, what clean block can you defend today? Choose a keystone that fits all 3. If you're missing one, change the slice, not the goal. Draft the intro becomes outline 3 bullets. Same direction, smaller promise. Now you might be thinking, but everything feels urgent. That's fake urgency. Separate noise from consequence. Ask 2 questions. Will this still matter in a week? Will delaying 24 hours increase the cost? If both are no, it's noise or a support. If both are yes, it's a candidate. If one is yes, check effort. If huge, slice. You're building a bias toward meaningful finishes, not frantic motion. Another filter, leverage. The thing most people miss is how powerful reusable assets are. A template, an automation, a clarified standard operating procedure, these pay dividends. If a 45-minute Keystone eliminates a weekly 20-minute chore, you just bought back hours this month. That's not a nice to have, that's compounding time. Put leverage Keystones at the front of the line. Micro story. A freelancer I coach kept chasing client pings. We switched the Keystone to ship reusable kickoff checklist and email template. 1 hour later, every new project started smoother, emails got faster, and revisions dropped. Her line was great. 1 hour to save 10 every week. That's leverage in action. Before we continue, you need to understand that value also includes risk reduction. Sometimes the highest value move is removing a blocker, scheduling a decision with a stakeholder, clarifying requirements, or running a small test to de-risk a path. If removing that risk unlocks multiple tasks, that's a Keystone. Don't confuse visible output with actual progress. Unblocking is progress. Here's a quick step-by-step you can try tonight. Step 1, list 3 outcomes that would make this week meaningfully better. Ship version 1, secure a meeting, complete analysis. Step 2, for each, name 1 slice you can finish tomorrow that moves it. Step 3, run the EAT filter. Step 4, pick the slice with the best impact to effort ratio. Step 5, write the start trigger and done in 1 sentence. Schedule it. Common mistakes to avoid. Picking a Keystone that depends on someone who isn't available today. Selecting a task that's really a bundle of unclear substeps. Choosing something that looks important but only cleans up optics. If you hear yourself say, work on, or make progress, tighten it. If the output isn't observable, define it until it is. The reason this works is simple. When you assign value over volume, you stop diluting your limited peak energy across trivia. You concentrate it on 1 consequential finish. That finish reduces tomorrow's load or increases tomorrow's options. Your brain sees the payoff and expects more wins, which lowers threat and raises willingness to start. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Pick the smallest slice of the highest impact outcome you can finish today. Value first, volume never. Once you've picked it, we'll make it start itself so you don't burn willpower getting off the blocks. Making it start itself, implementation details. Let's turn your Keystone into something that practically drags you into action. Start with a concrete start trigger. Time, place, cue, and first action. 9:30 a.m., home desk, headphones on, open Q1 proposal docx and write 3 rough bullets. That's not a vibe, that's a runway. Your brain loves clear cues because they replace hesitation with execution. Reduce friction the night before. Set out the file, the tab, the reference notes. Close everything unrelated. 1 file, 1 tab, 1 doc. If you need data, link it in the first line of your Keystone doc. If you need a template, paste it in and leave the cursor where you'll start typing. When you remove micro decisions, you remove excuses. Now add the 15-minute runway rule. Commit to the first 15 minutes with 0 evaluation. You're not allowed to judge the work until minute 16. Why this works? The pain of starting is front-loaded. Once your brain crosses the activation hump, momentum takes over. 15 minutes is short enough to feel safe and long enough to get traction. If you hit resistance at minute 3, breathe and keep fingers moving. Your only job is to stay in the chair until the bell. Okay, so the tricky part is interruptions. You need a default response and a recovery protocol. Default response, I'm in focus, I'll circle back at 11. Put that sentence on a sticky note. Use it for pings, calls, and drive-by questions. Recovery protocol, when an interruption lands anyway, write a 3-word breadcrumb before you switch, like next, draft intro. When you return, read the breadcrumb, reopen the file, and restart the 15-minute clock. No shame, just re-entry. Build a tiny environment ritual to prime focus. Same chair, same playlist, same beverage. Keep it boring. Rituals tell your nervous system, we do this now. If you work in shifting locations, carry a portable ritual, noise-canceling headphones, a simple timer, and a keyboard shortcut that opens your Keystone dock. Consistency beats novelty here. Layer in a visible timer. Analog if you can, it removes notifications and gives you a physical countdown. Set 20-45 minutes depending on the scope you defined. When the timer starts, you're in. No tabs, no messages, no quick checks. If you feel an urge to check something, jot a one-word note on paper and keep going. Capture beats context switch. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Preload your first sentence. Before you stop the day prior, write the first ugly line for tomorrow's keystone. It's allowed to be bad. It's a handle. Waking up to a blinking cursor is threat. Waking up to a messy first line is a gift. Your job is to make that line better for 15 minutes. That's it. Create a friction audit checklist. Tonight, ask, what could block me tomorrow? Missing login? Request needed from Sam? Unclear requirement. Spend 5 minutes removing one block. If you can't remove it, redefine the slice to something you can complete without waiting, like drafting the section that doesn't require Sam's input. You're aiming for full control over the first 20-45 minutes. Now you might be thinking, what about days packed with meetings? Shrink the scope, not the standard. A 12-minute keystone is valid if it's consequential. Record a rough 60-second voice memo of the intro can move a project. If you have only early mornings, schedule the trigger before the world wakes up. If you only have late evenings, pick a keystone that matches lower energy, outline, not polish. Use a single sentence done definition at the top of your keystone doc. Example, done equals 3 bullet headlines drafted. Keep it visible while you work. When you drift, read it aloud and come back. Scope creep is just forgetting what done is. The sentence is your guardrail. Add a micro-commitment device. Text a teammate or friend. Keystone 9, 30, 10, 15, 3 headlines. I'll send a screenshot at 10:20. Externalizing your promise raises follow-through without raising threat. It's not performative, it's accountability light. If you can't text, drop the commitment into a personal log you'll check at noon. Plan a simple reward that reinforces the behavior. Make it immediate and small. A walk, a better coffee, 10 minutes of guilt-free scrolling. The reward isn't the reason, it's the anchor. Your brain learns, start on cue, finish on scope, get a tiny treat. Over time, the treat becomes the feeling of finishing, but the early pairing helps. Set a hard stop to prevent spirals. When the timer ends, ask, did I hit done? If yes, stop. Log the win in your done log, date, keystone, outcome, one sentence on what helped. If no, either extend once by 10-15 minutes or redefine a smaller done you can hit immediately. Don't roll into perfection. Perfection is scope creep wearing nice shoes. Common mistakes, starting with vague verbs like work on, leaving 6 tabs open just in case, and letting notifications leak in. Fix them with specificity, single tab focus, and do not disturb toggled on everything. Another mistake, saving setup for the morning. Do it the night before. Morning brains are for value, not logistics. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Make tomorrow's start decision tonight. One trigger, one file, one first action, one short timer. No debate. When the cue hits, you move. The anti-list works because it removes negotiation and replaces it with proof. Proof kills avoidance. Definition of done and scope control. Doing is good, finishing is better. That's why done needs to be measurable, observable, and binary. If someone watched you work, could they tell, without asking, whether you're finished? 3 headlines drafted is binary. Make progress on deck is fog. Binary, done, shuts off the brain's monitoring loop and gives you the closure that powers momentum. Set the finish line before you start. Write a single sentence at the top of your Keystone doc, done equals X output. Keep it visible. When your attention wanders, read the sentence and return. This isn't busy work, it's a guardrail against scope creep and perfection drift. The clearer the finish line, the easier it is to start and to stop on time. Now here's where most people mess up. They expand the scope mid-session. You define outline 3 headlines, then halfway in you add polished slides and gather data. That's perfection creep. It hides as quality, but it's actually avoidance dressed up. Minimum viable completion beats hidden expansion. Define the smallest version that still creates value, MVP, not MIA. Minimum viable completion might be rough bullets. not client-ready copy. Before we continue, you need to understand scope guardrails. Guardrails have two rails, lower and upper. The lower rail is the minimum viable completion, what still counts if the day goes sideways. The upper rail is the maximum you'll allow before you stop to block overworking the slice. For example, lower rail, 3 rough headlines. Upper rail, 6 headlines max or 45 minutes, whichever comes first. This keeps you from quitting too early or spiraling too long. Time-bound endings are your friend. Stop at X prevents the perfection spiral that eats afternoons. Choose a time window that matches your energy and the slice. If you finish early, great, log the win and stop. If you hit the time and the output is at the lower rail, also stop. The goal is a clean finish, not a heroic blur. Heroics today often mean hangover tomorrow. Okay, so the tricky part is quality anxiety. Quality matters, but not on the first slice. Separate drafting from polishing. Define a done that ends at draft quality. If you're worried about standards, schedule a separate polishing keystone later in the week. Mixing modes increases friction and invites shame when you can't hit a perfect finish in one sitting. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Pre-commit to what good enough looks like. Write, acceptable equals rough, coherent, no formatting. Now your brain has permission to stop when you reach that bar. Without a declared threshold, your mind uses feelings to decide, and feelings are volatile under pressure. A written threshold removes the debate. Interruptions test scope control. When you're pulled away, leave a breadcrumb that includes both next action and finish definition. Next, write headline 3, done at 3 headlines. When you return, restart your timer and reread the done line. Breadcrumbs compress the cost of reentry and keep scope intact. No shame, just resume. Debrief in 60 seconds right after you finish. 3 prompts. What worked? What got in the way? What will I change tomorrow? Keep it 1 sentence each. The reason this works is simple. You're converting experience into a tiny process improvement loop. Tomorrow's keystone benefits from today's learning, and you avoid repeating the same friction. Common mistakes and fixes. Mistake, done equals time spent, not output. Fix, define output first, then pick the time. Mistake, bundling multiple outcomes into one done. Fix, split and choose one. Mistake, moving the goalposts at minute 35. Fix, respect the guardrails, schedule a new slice if needed. Mistake, using perfect words in your definition. Fix, use rough, draft, or first pass. Micro story. A researcher kept writing finished literature review, then drowning. We rewrote done as extract and tag 10 findings from 3 papers, 45 minutes. Lower rail was 5 findings if interrupted. She hit done, logged it, and stopped. 2 weeks later, the review was complete. No marathons, just consistent binary finishes. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Define done so crisply that stopping feels obvious, and set scope guardrails so creep can't sneak in. Clear finish lines build trust. Trust fuels tomorrow's start. Stacking wins without recreating a list. Once you've got done and scope control, the next challenge is momentum, without sliding back into list mode. The move here is simple. Track what you finish, not what you hope to do. Use a rolling done log. It's a lightweight record of completed keystones and optionally support tasks that truly helped. Date, keystone, outcome, 1 sentence on what worked. That's it. The log is your confidence ledger. Each entry is proof. Proof fuels the next start. Only schedule tomorrow's keystone, never a week of tasks. Planning a week of 1 priorities is just a disguised list. You're predicting energy, interruptions, and access you don't control yet. Instead, each evening, pick 1 keystone for tomorrow using the same value filters. Moves a goal, reduces future work, or creates leverage. Write the start trigger and done in 1 sentence. Put it on your calendar. Everything else waits its turn. Now you might be thinking, but I need a place to put ideas and obligations. You do. Park them in a someday maybe list, a capture bin that holds possibilities, not promises. It's not your plan, it's your storage. Once a week, review it for real candidates. If something becomes truly consequential, you'll pull it as a keystone slice for a specific day. Until then, it lives quietly offstage where it can't steal attention. Keep support tasks as optional add-ons, never co-equal. After you finish the keystone, you can do 1 to 3 small supports that either set up a future keystone or clean up the work you just shipped. Send the file, log the outcome, request feedback, prep tomorrow's materials. If your energy is gone, skip them. The day still counts as a win because the keystone is the win. Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Chain by theme, not by list. If today's keystone generated loose ends, convert one of those into tomorrow's keystone slice only if it's truly the highest impact. Otherwise, leave it as a support or park it. Chaining keeps context warm without letting inertia pick your priorities. You're still choosing value first. Okay, so the tricky part is avoiding backlog creep disguised as visibility. You don't need a Kanban of every possible task to feel in control. You need a crystal clear next move and evidence you finish. The done log gives you both. If you're tempted to build a dashboard, ask, will this help me start tomorrow faster? If not, it's decoration. Let me show you how this looks across a week. Monday's keystone, draft intro and outline 45 minutes. Log it. Tuesday, write body section 1 40 minutes. Log it plus a support task, email stakeholder for data. Wednesday, build first 3 slides 35 minutes. Log it. Thursday, integrate stakeholder data 30 minutes. Friday, write decision memo 45 minutes. 5 keystones, 1 project moving, no list overwhelm. The done log shows progress. The someday list waits patiently. Use micro-batching without building a queue. If you notice 3 keystones this week share a context, writing, analysis, outreach, cluster them on the days you have matching energy. That's batching for momentum, not planning a backlog. You're still committing daily to 1 slice. The batch idea simply reduces context switching costs. Now you might be thinking, what if urgent tasks appear? Urgencies either replace today's keystone or become a support. If a true emergency hits, shrink the keystone scope to a tiny but consequential slice you can still finish. 2 sentences, 1 decision, 1 query, 1 commit. Then handle the urgent. Your identity as a finisher stays intact. Another helpful pattern, close the loop each day with a 60-second end note in the done log. What helped today? What will I change tomorrow? That micro-reflection upgrades the system without adding process sprawl. If you find yourself repeating a friction, fix the setup, not your self-talk. Common pitfalls when stacking wins. First, sneaking in a second keystone just to get ahead. Don't, you're trading consistency for a dopamine spike. Depth beats breadth. Second, turning the done log into a brag board with filler. If it didn't meaningfully support the keystone, don't log it. Protect the signal. Third, preloading the calendar with a week of keystones. You'll break the promise the moment reality shifts and the shame cycle returns. Micro story. A consultant I coach moved from a 90-item tracker to a done log plus someday. Week 1, 5 keystones, 3 supports total. She said, I feel lighter and I'm actually shipping. The surprise win? By Friday, she could scan the done log and see tangible outcomes, not effort outcomes. That sight alone made Monday easier. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Momentum comes from finished slices, not managed backlogs. Log the proof, schedule only tomorrow's keystone, park the rest, and keep supports optional. You'll stack real wins without recreating the very list that dragged you down. Hard days protocol, when energy is low. Some days you wake up with sand in your gears. That's fine. The anti-list still works, you just run the hard days protocol. First move, choose a tiny keystone. Smallest meaningful move, not random busy work. If your original slice was write section 1, shrink it to draft 3 bullet points for section 1. It still advances the real goal, but it asks less activation energy. Constraint switch beats standards drop. Keep the same direction and quality bar for the final outcome, but reduce scope, time, or fidelity today. Think first pass, not final polish. If you planned 60 minutes, set 12. If you planned 5 slides, do the title and first outline. You're protecting identity while respecting bandwidth. Use energy swaps. On low-cog days, pick tasks that move the project without deep focus. Examples: outline instead of prose, gather links instead of analysis, sketch structure instead of writing copy, record a 60-second voice note of ideas instead of drafting a full paragraph. For teams, send a clarifying question that unblocks tomorrow. Low cognitive load, high consequence. Now here's where most people mess up. They confuse tiny with trivial. Trivial cleans the desk. Tiny keystones reduce future work or create leverage. The filter still applies. Moves a goal, reduces future work, or creates leverage. Rename files is trivial. Create a template to auto-name deliverables is tiny but leveraged. Pick the second. Set a failure floor, your show-up criteria. It's a micro-promise that keeps your finisher identity intact even when the day goes sideways. Examples: write one ugly sentence in the doc, add one citation, send one outreach, draft one slide headline, run one SQL query. When you hit the floor, you've technically finished the keystone. If energy surprises you, go further. If not, you still log a win. Lean on aggressive friction reduction. On hard days, remove every micro decision. One tab, one file, one timer. Preload the first line the night before if you can. If you didn't, write a 2-word handle now, intro bullets, and start the 15-minute runway. Remember, no evaluation until the bell. Output will be rough. That's allowed. Tempo matters. Short timers shine when you're depleted. Try 3 micro sprints, 10 minutes work, 2 minutes off, repeated. Keep the definition of done tied to the first sprint so you can stop early and still count it. If you finish in the first 10, bank the win and walk. Overachieving on a low day often steals from tomorrow. Use the environment lever. On tired days, make starting frictionless and staying friction-filled for distractions. Phone in another room. Do not disturb on. If you must be reachable, whitelist one person and mute the rest. Keep your ritual identical. Same chair, same sound, same timer. Familiarity lowers threat and helps tired brains slip into action. Okay, so the tricky part is shame creep after a smaller slice. Your brain might say, that wasn't enough. Preempt it by writing your done line with value language. Done equals 3 bullets that decide the section angle. Decision equals value. If the slice made tomorrow easier, it counts. Log why it mattered in 1 sentence. This isn't self-congratulation, it's training the prediction loop. If an emergency nukes your calendar, run the 2-minute salvage. Ask, what's the tiniest consequential move I can complete before sleep? Draft an email subject line. Title the doc and write the first sentence. Outline 3 bullets. Record a 30-second memo with the core idea. Then stop. Your goal is to cross the line, not to catch up. Catch-up plans reintroduce shame. Micro story: a developer on my team had a migraine day. Original Keystone, implement auth flow. Hard day swap, write test names for 3 auth cases, 12 minutes. He finished the names, added stubs, and logged, tomorrow's brain will fill these. Next day, he shipped the flow in 1 sitting. Tiny, meaningful proof preserved momentum. Common mistakes on low-energy days: skipping the keystone entirely, inflating scope to make it count, and replacing the keystone with admin. Fix: enforce the failure floor, cap scope with a hard stop, and run supports only after the keystone is logged. If you remember nothing else, remember this: reduce scope, not standards, keep it consequential. Protect your finisher identity with a tiny, real win. Common mistakes and how to fix them. Now here's where most people mess up. They pick vanity tasks that feel productive but don't move real goals. Vanity tasks look clean and give instant satisfaction, reformatting slides, organizing folders, tweaking colors. They don't create outcomes that matter. Fix it with a simple test. Does this reduce future work, create leverage, or move a concrete milestone? If the answer's no, it's a support at best. Reframe the vanity into value. Draft a reusable slide template for 3 common scenarios: beats, polish, slide theme. The next trap is crowning multiple 1 priorities. When everything's number 1, nothing gets protected. Your threat system reads that as looming failure and stalls. Fix it with the 1 keystone rule plus a waiting pen. Choose 1 keystone, then write the top contender on a sticky labeled next candidate. You're acknowledging importance without splitting focus. After you finish the keystone, reevaluate the candidate using impact and effort. Most of the time, urgency fades once you've banked a win. Vague keystones are another killer. Work on report sounds reasonable, but it hides 3 problems: no start trigger, no scope, and no done definition. Your brain can't locate the first move, so it delays. Fix it by rewriting in 1 sentence. At 9:30 at my desk, open Q3 report, docx, and write 3 bullet headlines for section 1, done when 3 headlines exist. If you can't fit it into 1 sentence, the slice is still a bundle. Split it and pick 1. Perfection creep sneaks in mid-session. You define a small finish, then you start layering polish, extra research, and formatting. It feels like quality, it's actually avoidance in a nice outfit. Fix it with scope guardrails visible at the top of your doc. Lower rail equals 3 rough bullets, Upper rail equals 6 bullets or 45 minutes, whichever comes first. Read it when you feel the urge to add a new requirement. If a new idea is genuinely valuable, park it on a later line and keep moving. Another common mistake, skipping the debrief so you repeat the same friction tomorrow. Without a quick review, your system never adapts and you blame yourself instead of the setup. Fix it with a 60-second debrief baked into your done log. What worked? What got in the way? What will I change? Keep it brutally short. If the same blocker shows up twice, add a 5-minute friction fix tonight, create the template, script the start trigger, collect links, or schedule the dependency. Now you might be thinking, but my day is unpredictable. That's fine. The mistake is treating unpredictability as a reason to skip the Keystone. Fix it with shrink-to-fit slices and a failure floor. Pre-pick the smallest consequential move you'll execute if chaos hits. Write the opening 2 sentences. Record a 45-second voice memo of the thesis. Draft 1 outreach subject line. When the day blows up, hit the floor and protect your finisher identity. Another subtle error, choosing keystones that depend on missing inputs. You sit down, realize you need numbers from Sam and stall. Fix it with the EAT filter, energy, access, time, before you commit. If access is missing, either spend 5 minutes securing it tonight or redefine the slice to something you can complete solo, like drafting the structure or questions. Keystones should be within your control. People also rebuild lists under new names, Kanban walls, multi-day calendars, weekly keystone plans. It feels organized, it recreates backlog threat. Fix it by scheduling only tomorrow's keystone. Use a someday maybe list for capture, a done log for proof, and a weekly review to pull new candidates. If you catch yourself preloading multiple days, stop and ask, will this make starting tomorrow faster? If not, delete the queue. Notification leaks are another silent drain. You try to run the keystone with alerts on, just in case. Each ping is a context tax that raises activation pain. Fix it with a default focus mode tied to your start trigger. One action flips do not disturb for the keystone block, whitelisting only true emergencies. Put your standard deferral line on a sticky. In focus, will reply at 11. You're not ignoring, you're sequencing. Here's a sneaky one, counting time as done instead of output. You sit for 45 minutes and call it finished even if the outcome is mush. Time spent doesn't train self-efficacy, finished outputs do. Fix it by defining output first, then choosing a time window. If your time ends and the lower rail is met, stop and log. If not, either extend once by 10 minutes or redefine a smaller binary done and hit it now. Finally, the guilt spiral after a smaller win. You shrink the slice on purpose, then shame yourself for not doing more, which poisons tomorrow. Fix it by writing value into the done line. Done equals choose the section angle with 3 bullets. Decision equals leverage. Then, in your done log, add 1 sentence. Why this mattered today. You're training your brain to notice consequence, not volume. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Most mistakes are scope, clarity, or control problems, not character flaws. Tighten the sentence, shrink the slice, protect the block, and capture the proof. Your system improves, your identity follows. Quick wins and early results. Let's make this tangible so your brain buys in. Day 1, the first thing you'll feel is relief. Picking 1 keystone quiets the noise. Clarity replaces that background hum of I should be doing more. You start on time because the start trigger removes debate, and when you hit a crisp done, you get closure instead of the usual vague fatigue. That single check-in with yourself, did I finish the one thing, lands like a deep breath. By day 3 to 5, avoidance drops. Not to 0, but noticeably. Why? Your prediction loop is updating. It's seeing short, real proofs, 1 asset shipped, 1 decision made, 1 blocker removed. The pain of starting shrinks because the outcome keeps showing up. Self-talk shifts from don't blow it to I finish my slice. You'll catch yourself opening the Keystone doc faster and tab surfing less because the path is obvious. A quick pattern you'll notice midweek. You recover quicker from interruptions. That breadcrumb plus the visible done line lets you re-enter without the 20-minute warm-up. Your timer becomes a friend, not a threat. And the done log starts to feel like a quiet scoreboard of competence. Scanning it takes 10 seconds and flips your mood, proof over blame. In week 2, progress turns measurable. 1 project moves from idea to artifacts. You might have a draft section, a template, a memo, and a decision recorded. Clients reply faster because your asks are clear. Team questions drop because a written outcome exists. If you're solo, your future self stops dreading mornings because there's always a defined first move. That predictability is energy. It frees working memory for actual thinking, not meta-thinking. Here's a small but powerful shift you'll feel. Mornings stop being negotiation hour. You've already made the choice the night before. You sit, you start, you finish. That predictability reduces cognitive load, which reduces stress, which lifts the ceiling on quality. You'll also notice fewer make-up-for-it-tonight plans. You don't need them. A 35-60-minute, consequential finish most mornings beats any evening guilt sprint. By the end of week 2, your someday list will look calmer. Not because it's empty, but because it's quarantined. You've pulled only what matters, one day at a time. The rest waits without yelling at you. That containment alone can drop your stress baseline. At 1 month, identity shifts. You stop thinking I'm a starter and start feeling I'm a finisher. The proof stack in your done log makes that belief hard to argue with. You'll likely notice fewer perfection spirals because scope guardrails have trained you to ship rough first passes and polish later. You'll also see compounding leverage. That reusable brief, that checklist, that automation. These assets keep paying you back, which buys time for bigger moves. Another month one change, your calendar reflects priorities. There's always a protected block for the Keystone, and people around you start to respect it because you model consistency. If you lead a team, your one-sentence Keystone share nudges others to define outcomes, not hours. Meetings shrink because decision memos exist. Rework drops because done is clear. Common early hiccups and what you'll do. If you miss a day, you don't punish yourself. You run a tiny Keystone the next day and log it. If you feel the itch to add a second Keystone, channel it into a sharper done or a cleaner setup for tomorrow. If urgency piles up, shrink scope, keep it consequential, and protect identity. The wins are small, but they're real, and real wins are the only fuel that lasts. Integrating with calendars, teams, and tools. Let's plug the anti-list into real life so it survives calendars, teams, and tools. Start with your calendar. The Keystone is a meeting with yourself. Title it with an outcome, not a verb. Keystone, draft 3 headlines beats work on deck. Put it in your peak energy zone and set it to busy so it deflects meetings. Add a 5-minute prep block the night before to stage files. That tiny event protects the start trigger and kills morning logistics. If you share a calendar, add a short description that sets expectations. Focus block, reply after 11. You're not hiding, you're signaling. People learn your floor is solid. If your day is meeting heavy, anchor a smaller Keystone at the earliest protected time. 12 meaningful minutes still count if they produce a decision or asset. Consistency beats ideal conditions. Now teams, communicate your daily Keystone when it's relevant. One sentence share in a channel or stand-up. Keystone before noon, decision memo on X done at 1 page. That's not a status novel, it's a clarity cue. Teammates see outcomes, not hours, and often self-serve because the target is defined. After you finish, drop the artifact or summary. Visibility builds trust and reduces the any update, pings that break focus. Use team norms to guard Keystones. Agree on a default deferral line. In focus, circling back at 1 p.m., encourage breadcrumbs when context switches happen so reentry is faster for everyone. If you manage others, model 1 Keystone per day in your updates and ask your team for theirs in outcome form. It shortens meetings because done is predefined and debate centers on decisions, not wandering updates. Dependencies matter. If your Keystone relies on someone, shift the Keystone to the unblocker. Send 3 precise questions to Sam with the doc link. That turns waiting into progress. For cross-functional work, pin your done definition in the shared doc header. Everyone sees the finish line you're aiming at, which trims rework and back and forth. On tools, keep it minimal. 1 calendar, 1 done log, 1 capture bin. Your calendar holds the Keystone block. The done log is a simple running note or spreadsheet. Date, Keystone, done. 1 line on what helped. The capture bin is where ideas and obligations live until review, notes app, a single list, or your project tool's backlog. The rule, capture is storage, calendar is commitment, done log is proof. If your org runs heavy tools, Jira, Asana, Notion, don't fight it, filter it. Link your daily Keystone to a single ticket or page. In the ticket, write the slice and done line in the description so the tool reflects your scope, not the entire project blob. When you finish, update the ticket and paste your 1-sentence result. You're aligning the anti-list with the system without inheriting backlog anxiety. Email and chat can coexist with Keystones if you set lanes. Batch messages before and after the block. Use filters or VIP lists so only true emergencies surface. Create a canned response you can paste in 3 seconds. Heads down on a deliverable, will reply by 11. This keeps relationships intact while you protect the promise. Most people don't need instant, they need certainty. For remote teams across time zones, post your Keystone and done window at the start of your day. Colleagues know when not to expect you and when to look for artifacts. Pair this with a shared decision log page where finished Keystones that affect others get a bullet entry. You'll cut status meetings because the history is visible and searchable. Integrate the someday maybe list without letting it leak. If an idea hits mid-Keystone, write one word on paper or drop it in your capture bin and keep going. During weekly review, pull 1 or 2 candidates into future Keystones. If a tool invites dates on everything, resist assigning dates until you commit the night before. Fake deadlines reintroduce shame. Automation helps if it's simple. Create a calendar template that auto-blocks your Keystone at your best hour on weekdays. Set a focus mode that toggles when that event begins. Add one shortcut that opens your Keystone doc, timer, and done log together. Fewer clicks equals lower activation energy. When you lead, integrate with team cadence. Replace long stand-ups with a 5-minute Keystone and done round. Each person states today's Keystone in output terms, yesterday's done, and one blocker. No storytelling. Decisions that emerge get a separate memo. You'll get back hours and raise finish rates. Finally, guard against tool sprawl. If a dashboard doesn't help you start faster or finish cleaner, it's noise. Your litmus test stays the same. Does this integration reduce friction, lower threat, or increase closure? If not, cut it. 1 Keystone, 1 calendar slot, 1 visible done, 1 logged proof. That's the whole system working in the wild. The 3-level review system. Once the system is in motion, reviews keep it sharp without turning it into bureaucracy. 3 levels: daily, weekly, monthly. Each one is quick, specific, and focused on evidence, not feelings. Daily is a 60-second debrief right after you log the Keystone. 3 prompts, 1 sentence each. What worked? What got in the way? What will I change tomorrow? Keep it blunt. Worked: headphones and timer. In the way, Slack ping from 10:12:10:20. Change: set do not disturb and write breadcrumb before switching. You're closing a tiny learning loop while the experience is fresh. If the same blocker shows twice, add a 5-minute fix tonight. Create a template, script the start trigger, gather links, or schedule the dependency. Now here's where most people mess up. They overthink the daily review and write a journal. Don't. You want a micro adjustment, not a post-mortem. The goal is to make tomorrow's start faster and cleaner. If you miss the Keystone, still do the debrief. Answer why, name the smallest consequential slice you'll run tomorrow, and set the trigger before bed. You're keeping the identity intact by planning a win, not inventing punishment. Weekly is your reset. 15 to 20 minutes max, same day each week. Open your done log and ask 4 questions. What outcomes did I finish? What leverage did I create? What patterns helped or hurt? What are the 3 most valuable outcomes for the next 7 days? Then choose the next week's likely Keystone candidates, 1 per day, but don't calendar them yet. You're selecting direction, not making a backlog. Confirm each candidate passes the value test. Moves a goal, reduces future work, or creates leverage. If a candidate depends on others, shift the Keystone to the unblocker. Draft the decision memo, send the request, or run the test that reduces uncertainty. Use the EAT filter at the weekly level too. Map likely energy windows, access constraints, and time blocks. Pencil the best pairings, then stop. You'll commit the night before as always. Close the weekly reset by pruning your someday list. Ask, will this still matter in a month? Will not doing it raise the cost? If no and no, archive. If yes and yes, move it to candidates and slice the first Keystone version. Monthly is your audit. 30 minutes once. 3 lenses: outcomes, leverage, identity. Outcomes: what shift that actually changed something, revenue decisions, learning, health. Capture a short list of artifacts and wins. Leverage: which Keystones kept paying, templates, automations, docs, which ones did? Identity: what evidence suggests you're a finisher now? How many days did you hit done? How often did you recover after misses? Where did perfection creep still bite? Before we continue, you need to understand how to adjust rules based on evidence. If you miss more than 2 days a week, your slices are too big or your triggers are vague. Shrink the scope or sharpen the first action. If you keep overworking slices, add upper guardrails and a visible stop at X. If interruptions dominate, strengthen your default deferral line and prewrite breadcrumbs. If vanity tasks creep in, raise the consequence bar for what counts as a keystone. Here's a shortcut: track 1 metric per month. Options: keystone completion rate, average slice duration, number of leverage assets created. Pick one, improve it by a small, specific change, and recheck next month. Micro-optimizations compound without overwhelming you. If you remember nothing else, remember this: review to refine, not to ruminate. Daily tweaks speed tomorrow, weekly resets align value, monthly audits evolve your rules. That's how the anti-list stays simple and keeps working. Advanced tactics: leverage, batching, and delegation. This next part separates beginners from pros, using your keystone to buy back future time. Think of leverage, batching, and delegation as multipliers. You're not working harder, you're choosing keystones that keep paying you. Start with leverage. A leveraged keystone creates an asset or system that saves you time every time you use it. Templates, SOPs, decision memos, automations, these are force multipliers. The thing most people miss is that leverage hides inside annoying repeats. If you've done something twice, you'll do it again. Turn today's keystone into a reusable version. Draft a kickoff checklist. Record a 2-minute loom that explains the process. Write a decision memo that closes open loops for the team. One slice today removes dozens of decisions tomorrow. Let me show you exactly how to spot a leverage keystone. Scan your calendar or done log for patterns: recurring meetings, repeated questions, repeated formatting, repeated outreach. Pick one. Your keystone becomes the smallest asset that prevents that repetition. If you keep rewriting the same status update, create a 1-page status template. If new teammates keep asking the same 3 questions, write a start here, note, and pin it. If you always spend 20 minutes hunting links, make a single index page and paste the top 5 resources. It's not glamorous, it compounds. Now here's where most people mess up with leverage: they aim too big. They try to build a perfect system in one sitting and it never ships. Shrink it to a version 0.5 keystone. Done equals 1-page checklist with the top 7 steps. Done script that automates the first half. You can improve later. The reason this works is simple: tiny assets get used, and use is what makes an asset valuable. Batching is next. Batching is not preloading a week of keystones. It's grouping similar slices so your brain stays in one mode longer. Once you nail that, everything else clicks. If you've got 3 writing slices this week, place them on days or times with matching energy and run them with identical rituals. Same template, same timer length, same done format. Your warm-up cost drops, your output rises. The shortcut nobody teaches is to standardize your slice pattern. Outline bullets, right arrow draft, rough, right arrow polish. Make each a separate keystone on separate days. You move faster because you're repeating a process, not reinventing it. Okay, so the tricky part is batching without creating a queue that turns into a list. Solve it with a rolling batch. Keep a tiny note with 3 candidate slices in the same mode. Each day, you still commit to one. After you finish, you can pull the next candidate tomorrow if it's still the highest value. You're surfing a wave, not building a dam. Micro story. A content lead I coach used to hop between writing, meetings, and random fixes. We shifted to batch modes. MW mornings equals writing keystones, T/TH afternoons equals review keystones, Friday equals leverage keystone. 3 weeks in, her team had a reusable brief, a review checklist, and turnaround sped up. She said, "I stopped dragging my brain across modes all day." Now delegation. Delegation protects the keystone by moving support work off your plate. Most people wait to delegate until they're drowning. Better, make delegate or document itself a keystone. Pick one repetitive support task and write the minimum viable instructions. Done equals 1-page step-by-step with screenshots. Then hand it off with a clear output and deadline. If no one's available, future you is your delegate, because the doc will let you run it in half the time next month. Before we continue, you need to understand leverage and delegation. Delegate outcomes, not activities. Done equals 3 cleaned rows in the spreadsheet matching the template beats. Please clean the spreadsheet. Define the finish line, the scope guardrails, and you're good enough, standard in one sentence. It reduces back and forth and builds trust. If quality drifts, you adjust the doc, not your patience. What if you don't manage anyone? You can still delegate to tools and to time. Tools, tiny automations that remove clicks, text expanders, email templates, calendar links. Time, a standing time-based rule that handles recurring tasks. Every Friday at 3, run the invoice script. You're delegating the reminder and the structure to your calendar so your brain is free to do the keystone. Here's the pre-mortem tactic for complex keystones. When a slice has multiple moving parts, run a 5-minute pre-mortem. If this failed today, what likely caused it? Missing access? Vague done? Hidden dependency? Your keystone becomes remove the riskiest blocker. Ask for the file, book the 15-minute alignment, draft the decision questions. Reducing surprise is leverage. It makes tomorrow smooth. Combine these tactics cleanly. Monday, leverage Keystone, draft a 1-page kickoff checklist. Tuesday, batch mode, write body section 1 using the same template as last week. Wednesday, delegate support, document the handoff for weekly metrics. Thursday, batch mode, review and edit with your standard checklist. Friday, leverage Keystone, automate file naming with a simple script. 5 days, 2 assets created, 1 handoff documented, no list bloat. Common mistakes and fixes. Mistake, building a giant SOP no one will read. Fix, aim for a 1-page V5 with screenshots and a clear done. Mistake, calling it batching but mixing modes, writing plus emailing plus formatting in one block. Fix, keep modes pure inside the timer. Mistake, delegating tasks with fuzzy outcomes. Fix, delegate with a binary, done, and examples of acceptable quality. Mistake, trying to automate a messy process. Fix, stabilize the manual steps first, then automate the clean version. Now you might be thinking, won't this slow me down today? Sometimes a little, but leveraged keystones pay back quickly. A 30-minute template that saves 10 minutes every Tuesday breaks even in 3 weeks and then compounds. A handoff that frees 20 minutes daily pays back in 2 days. Your done log will show this. Add a tiny note. Leverage win, saved X minutes. Watching the savings builds the habit. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Pick keystones that create assets, run similar slices in batches, and move support work off your plate with clear, done definitions. That's how you keep the anti-list simple while multiplying your output. Micro stories, from shame to wins. Let me make this real with a few quick stories. First, student A, she used to keep a 40-item list pinned over her desk. Projects, readings, errands, all mixed together. Most days ended with 29 unchecked boxes and a voice in her head saying, "You're behind." We switched to the anti-list with 1 keystone a day and a done log. Week 1, her keystones were tiny but consequential. Draft 3 hypothesis bullets. Email advisor with 1 concrete question. Summarize 2 papers in 6 sentences. She logged 5 clear finishes. By week 2, something shifted. She picked slightly bigger slices because her brain believed her. She sent me a message. "I'm not working more, I'm finishing more." Her weekly output doubled, not from heroics, but from 5 binary wins stacked back to back. The list didn't get shorter, her radius of control got tighter. That's the difference. A freelancer I coached lived in reactive mode. Email pings set her day. We made her keystone a leverage play. Create reusable kickoff checklist and email template. 1 hour later, onboarding was smoother, clients sent clearer inputs and revisions dropped. Her follow-up keystones chained from that. Draft template for update emails. Record a 90-second loom explaining review standards. 2 weeks in, she said, "I have fewer fires because the fire exits are labeled." That's competence-driven motivation. Each asset lowered tomorrow's friction, so she felt safer picking the next meaningful slice. The shame spiral got replaced with a success spiral because the work produced durable proof. A manager took this to her team. Their Mondays were stand-ups that lasted forever with status lists that went nowhere. They tried a keystone round instead. Each person named 1 outcome for the morning with a crisp done definition. Done equals first draft of hiring rubric. Done equals decision memo on launch scope. They posted the artifacts by noon. Meetings shrank because decisions were in writing. Rework dropped because done was explicit. She told me, "We didn't add process. We subtracted ambiguity." Her own keystone became leverage, Write the what good looks like page for our top 3 workflows. Once that existed, handoffs got faster and fewer Slack pings broke focus. The team didn't get superhuman, they got concrete. Personal life counts too. One client kept failing at exercise because his list said, gym 5x week. When he missed 2, shame did the rest. We applied hard days protocol. Keystone was put on shoes and walked to the corner and back. Floor only. He laughed, did it, and logged it. Day 3, he walked 10 minutes. Week 2, 20. Month 1, he said, I don't negotiate with myself in the morning anymore. The done log made the habit visible. He wasn't listing workouts, he was stacking identity proof. I'm someone who shows up. Now here's a micro story about risk removal as value. A product lead felt stuck on a feature because requirements were fuzzy. Old him would work on designs for hours and feel behind. We rewrote the Keystone to send a 3-question decision request to stakeholder with 2 options. Done in 15 minutes. The reply unblocked a week of work. He logged the Keystone with a note. Decision unlocked 4 tasks. He finally understood that unblocking is progress, not avoidance. His brain started preferring Keystones that changed the week, not filled the day. Another detail you'll like, a researcher with perfection creep. Her list said, finish literature review for months. We set done equals extract and tag 10 findings from 3 papers, 45 minutes, lower rail equals 5 if interrupted. She hit done, logged it, and stopped. She repeated that slice 9 times. 2 weeks later, the review was real. She told me, stopping at the rail felt wrong at first. Then I realized stopping was the reason I kept starting. Guardrails did lower quality. They preserved momentum long enough for quality to emerge. A developer had calendar chaos. He swore he had no time for a Keystone. We made it 11 minutes. Write test names for 3 auth cases, done at 3 names. He wrote the names, added stubs, and logged the win. The next morning, he filled them in fast because the cognitive path was paved. He said, I used to warm up for 20 minutes. Now the warm-up is yesterday's breadcrumb. One more team example. A marketing group loved dashboards and hated shipping. We replaced their weekly backlog review with a 15-minute reset, review the done log, pick 5 Keystone candidates for the week, commit nightly. The first month, they created a messaging template, a review checklist, and a decision memo format. Turnaround time fell, ad hoc questions fell. Their director noted, we didn't speed up by pushing harder. We sped up by defining done and doing less consistently. The list anxiety faded because the log evidence grew. If you're wondering about stumbles, they happened. Missed days, messy drafts, mid-session interruptions. The difference was the recovery ritual, a breadcrumb before switching, a tiny failure floor slice the next day, and a 1-sentence debrief. No punishment, just proof. People didn't become disciplined robots. They built a small system that made starting feel safe and stopping feel obvious. That's why this sticks. You're not managing a backlog. You're training your brain with frequent, visible, valuable finishes. Starter checklist and 1-page setup. Let's get you running by tomorrow with a 1-page setup you can keep open while you work. Open a blank note titled Anti-List Starter. This page will hold 4 things: your 30-day goal, tomorrow's Keystone, your start trigger, and your 2 lists, done log and someday maybe. First, define your next 30-day goal and a success metric. 1 sentence, outcome-based, not effort-based. Publish 3 newsletter issues and grow to 1,000 subscribers, or ship version 1 of the client onboarding flow and reduce setup time by 30%. Add a simple metric so you can tell if you're winning. If you're unsure, pick the smallest outcome that would change your month. Now choose tomorrow's Keystone with a crisp done definition. Use your value filter. Does it move that 30-day goal, reduce future work, or create leverage? Write 1 sentence. Done equals draft 3 headlines for issue 1, or done equals outline the 5 steps of onboarding with owner next to each. Make it binary, small, and consequential. If it feels slightly too easy, good you're building proof, not chasing heroics. Set your start trigger. Time, place, cue, first action. 8:45 a.m., kitchen table, headphones on, open newsletter issue 1 docx and write 3 rough headlines. Put it on your calendar as busy. Add a 5-minute prep block tonight to stage the file, template, and links. This removes morning logistics and kills the I'll start after I set up detour. Create your done log right on this page. A tiny table or 3 lines will do. Date. Keystone plus done definition. Outcome plus what helped 1 sentence. Below that, create your someday maybe list. This is a capture bin, not a plan. Drop ideas, nice-to-haves, and future tasks here so they stop yelling at you. You'll review it weekly to pull real candidates. You won't stare at it daily. Do a 5-minute friction audit for tomorrow. Ask, what could block me? Missing file, access, unclear requirement, someone else's input. Remove one block now. If you can't, redefine the slice so you can finish solo. Draft the outline, write the questions, or create the template. You want full control of your first 20-45 minutes. Write your guardrails at the top of tomorrow's doc. Lower rail equals 3 rough headlines. Upper rail equals 6 headlines or 40 minutes. Add your acceptable line if quality anxiety bites. Acceptable equals rough, coherent, no formatting. These rails prevent mid-session scope creep and make stopping obvious. Add your deferral lines someplace visible. In focus, we'll reply at 11. You'll paste this if pings arrive. Add your breadcrumb habit note. Before any switch, write next action plus done line. This keeps re-entry under a minute. Decide your tiny reward for tomorrow. Keep it small and immediate. Walk outside, better coffee, a short playlist. The reward is training, not bribery. You're pairing a clear finish with a pleasant aftertaste so your brain predicts safety at the next start. Set your hard days, fail your floor, now so you're never tempted to skip. 1 sentence. If the day implodes, done equals write 1 ugly headline. You'll be surprised how often the floor becomes the doorway to a bigger slice, but the point is identity protection. If you work with a team, add a 1-line share you'll post in the morning. Keystone before 11, draft 3 headlines, I'll drop the doc in channel. That's enough to set expectations and reduce mid-morning pings without turning this into a status saga. Optional but useful. Add a tiny Keystone template to your page so you can copy-paste each night. Value reason. Moves X, reduces Y, or creates Z, lever it. Start trigger. Time, place, cue, first action. Done, binary output. Guardrails, lower rail / upper rail. Prep tonight, links, template, access. Reward, small, immediate. Finish with a 60-second evening routine you'll repeat. Pick tomorrow's keystone, write the start sentence, stage the file, set do not disturb to auto-enable at start time, and put your timer in reach. Close every unrelated tab. 1 file, 1 tab, 1 doc. When the cue hits tomorrow, you move. That's your 1-page anti-list. It fits on a screen, it protects the promise, and it gives you a place to stack proof without building a backlog. Tonight you set it up. Tomorrow you log your first finish. Then you just keep collecting evidence that you're a finisher. The whole point is simple. 1 high-value keystone per day, with a crisp done, breaks the shame cycle and builds competence that drives real motivation. Run the anti-list for 7 days and log each finish. Then comment your keystone and what changed. Subscribe if you want the advanced deep dive, and watch the next video on identity-based procrastination to lock this in.